Welcome to my R55 Mini John Cooper Works. If there's a particular part of the video you want to see, I'll put some timestamps here somewhere and you can just skip to that part if you want to see something specific, but otherwise let's continue. So like I said, this is an R55 John Cooper Works. It has the 1.6 litre turbocharged engine producing 208 brake horsepower and 260 newton meter of torque. That's going through the front wheels only. It has a Alcantara and leather mixed steering wheel, some nice leather seats which are heated, and we've got an okay interior. One thing I do like about this car, the brakes. 4 piston calipers. They are Brembos, but they're rebadged to look like they're produced by John Cooper Works, but really they are Brembo brakes. And we've got 2 pistons at the rear, so the brakes are very strong in this. This faux carbon wrap, which was on it when I bought it, don't judge me please. We don't have the screen here. A lot of these minis, R56 and R55, have a sort of sat-nav screen here. I don't have it. I didn't realise that was a thing when I bought this car, which was a while ago. I didn't know much about minis at the time, so otherwise I would have searched for one with the screen. But I think they are kind of hard to come by, so I don't miss it anyway. You know, these screens are often outdated. Everything now is done on our phones, which I'll actually remove for you so that you have a better vision as I break it. Okay, we'll just get into driving and I'll tell you how it feels. We will drive it in sport mode today, which does increase the sensitivity of the throttle. It changes the throttle mapping, makes it more aggressive. It's not the best, to be honest. It's a bit too aggressive of a throttle map. I wouldn't really map it that way, but it does give us a bit of heavier steering and supposedly 15 newton meters extra of torque. So if we can get more power, then we will. I'll actually go with traction control all the way off, I think. So you hold it down. There we go, we're all the way off. Hopefully we don't have too many people like that in front of us. But we'll deal with what we can get. So let's get driving. I will actually go quite slow through this little village, just so those people can get ahead. See, you can feel that, you can tell that the throttle map's aggressive because I'm only putting a tiny bit of throttle on and we're getting loads of revs built up, and when I'm trying to set off, it's not the best, to be honest. It really isn't. It's really, I'd only use it when I'm actually driving. Round town, around these sort of normal speeds, it feels really nice, you know. It's a nice comfortable car. I can't complain. I mean, I've not driven too many luxury cars, to be honest. Most cars that I've driven, like my MX-5, I did have a Mazda 3 which was luxury-ish. Most cars that I've driven have been on the firm side when it comes to suspension, so I don't really notice. I suppose if I'd driven an S-Class or something like that, maybe I'd think differently. Anyway, let's get into driving. Torque steer. Little pop on the as I let off the throttle then. Very nice. I don't want to press on too much as these roads are a little bit wet, as I just heel toe. For heel towing, it's not the best. box is quite small, and so you end up sort of catching your feet everywhere. It can be done, but it's just not great for it. Feedback through the steering wheel is fantastic. I can't complain at all. The noises as well. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear the turbo spooling, and it sounds bloody glorious. I'll tell you now. That's about as much of that kind of driving as we're going to get. Let's cool it down. So, sport mode off, and traction control we'll put back on. Sport mode off. Sport mode's off now. So, at speed, it's good, it's responsive, it's darty, the suspension feels just right, you don't sort of get thrown around at all. It's very steady and planted, which for a little car with, you know, thin little wheels is good. It's the steering's heavy in sport mode, but not too heavy. It's just about right, I'd say. The brakes are good, obviously. That pedal box is, I don't know if you can see it down there, by what I mean, it is just, when you're heel towing and you're trying to brake, I mean, I have size 12 feet, so it's probably, any car's going to be a little bit small for me. I struggled in the MX-5, but I often found that the MX-5 had more pedal space for it than this does. Because I own the two, at one point I owned the two cars at the same time, and I remember the relief every time I got in the MX-5 of how much more room my feet had, which sounds crazy because this is definitely a bigger car, not hugely but marginally, and yet this for my feet is smaller. For my height, I'm 6'2", and I fit in this car brilliantly. It's fine, it's very comfortable. You know, these seats are great. I could definitely do long journeys in them. That sometimes rattles a bit, so you have to push it in and it goes quiet. So yeah, everyday driving, not like a absolute hooligan. We're golden. This is great. You know, you couldn't ask for better than this, really. But when you do press on, you know, all you have to do is, if you want to overtake someone, down a gear, and we're up at 60. So it's a great car for everyday living. Just in general, it's a great car. It's okay on fuel with that. We are averaging 29.9 miles per gallon. That's what I average, and I drive it not that hard. I really don't. It's very rare that I'll do something like this just then and take it out for a blast. It's very, very rare. Most of the time I'm sticking below 3 grand RPM. Right, we'll pull over at the next available location and I'll show you some exhaust sounds, but other than that, there isn't really much more to talk about. Great car. I'd definitely give it a 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Could be a bit more comfortable, but it could also have more power. And obviously, when you get these things, you sacrifice other things. You know, when you get comfort, you sacrifice stability at higher speeds. and when you get more power, you sacrifice the usability of it, so you can't exactly do what I just did then. If I had 400 horsepower, I couldn't be putting my foot down all the time on those back roads. I'd be doing well over 100, you know, and already when I was doing that, we were pressing on, you know, we were doing reasonable speed. So it definitely strikes a fantastic balance, definitely does. What I'll do is I'll pull over in the next, I think it's on the left here somewhere, and I'll give you some exhaust sounds, so we'll probably cut to that right now.